Welcome to Unshakable with Human Design, the show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs use human design to shift from hustle to flow without sacrificing results. Come here to become an unshakable human and build an unshakable business according to your human design. I'm your host, Nicole Laino. Hello and welcome to Unshakable with Human Design, everybody. I'm your host, Nicole Laino, and I am not here alone today for a change. I have the most amazing guest. I am so excited for this incredible human to be on the show. She is a client of mine. She is a friend. She is just an amazing life coach and business mentor. She is the creator of the Beam Life method, which is this incredible method for slaying your goals while remaining sane and true to yourself and not giving your life or your freedom away to your goals, but actually making them part of your journey. And I don't know anybody who does this better than her. She just has this most amazing energy. She's also the host of the brand new podcast, the Goal Slayer podcast, which I am so proud of and excited for you. Kaitlin Anthony is here with us. Kaitlin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nicole. And you don't take enough credit for helping me to name the new podcast, Goal Slayer. So of course, that came from diving deep into my human design and purpose and all of that. So I could not be happier to be here. I love everything that we have worked on together. And it has helped me not only enhance me as a human being, but also the way I serve in my business. And I can't wait just to light it up today with you. We're going to have so much fun.
This is going to be really fun because you just have the most amazing energy. So I'm excited to have you on. I should also say that you are also a 1-3 pure generator. And you embody this. And we're going to talk a little bit about human design. We're going to talk about all the things that we have been working on together because you are a client inside the Business by Design mentorship. So I've been fortunate enough to be part of your journey and not just observing it. And one of the things, like I said in the intro, that amazes me about you, and I should say that Kaitlin has 8 of the 9 centers defined. You have a super defined chart. You have a lot of energy. It's 3 motors. The only thing that's not defined is your emotional center. That's the only place you're open to other people's stuff. The rest of it, you've got it all internally and consistent for you. So there's a lot of energy there. And I think you've channeled it so beautifully. You've achieved some really incredible things. You have overcome a lot of incredible things. And it's been gratifying and really fun to watch you navigating all of what you do and how you do it through the lens of your human design, through the talents that you have in your channels, through the consistency that you have in your centers. But one of the things that I think you do better than pretty much anybody that I have really come across is goals with a heart. It isn't about just achieving for achieving's sake. Always at the forefront for you is about putting yourself first and making sure that the goals suit your life rather than just blindly pursuing goals and then breaking those goals down in a manageable way where they feel possible. So can you tell everybody about your process and how you take your experience and your training as a life coach and you've applied that to getting shit done, which is pretty much what you're known for.
Getting shit done. So generator of me, huh? It's like stereotypical. Here we go. But truly, thank you so much for saying all of that. That is so kind of you. And I think before I talk about my process, it's relevant to talk about a few of the things that have come across my path, maybe in the last 13 years or so. And that is really what's led me all the way up to here. So when you mention I have done some incredible things, for those of you listening, I don't know if I always say that they're incredible things, some of which are incredible, but also some were really gut-wrenching and hard. And I didn't quite understand how all of those things fit in or how it would show up for me. And now that I am doing some of this work and how I want to guide my clients, it's all starting to make sense. So some of the things that Nicole referenced is over the course of the last 13 years, I've gone through a really huge fitness and health journey. So I've lost over 80 pounds doing a combination of some endurance, some really intense endurance running, completing an Ironman triathlon. I've also gone through a really rough divorce. I'm a mom of a now 7-year-old, but we got divorced when she was 3. And that was difficult because not only was the divorce hard, but I had built a business with my now ex-husband that was a family, a gym, and we had a ton of people that I cared for deeply. And so leaving that relationship was also like leaving a big family. And through that, I also came out as queer in my 30s, which was a big shock to some, and to some other people, they're like, well, that's just Kaitlin. She's going to live her life and do her thing, and not surprised at all. So there was a lot of those things. And through all of that, finding my calling, which meant switching careers twice and finally landing here in life coaching. And what I realized is I've been coaching my entire life pretty much in different ways, but it all showed up for me when I was needing an outlet for all the things I was going through, and people were really resonating. And what was the biggest thing for a lot of people was I didn't have necessarily a trust to start a business, right? I wasn't born with a 6-pack and an athlete mentality to be able to run these races. I came from a divorced family, and so I was not necessarily equipped emotionally to go through a divorce or these kinds of things. So I didn't have all of the tools, as many of us don't, when we're navigating these things. And people were like, how are you doing this? How are you getting through this? How are you starting businesses? How are you accomplishing these big races and feeling like you can manage it? And I will say, social media makes things look a lot more shiny than they really were at times, because yes, I got through it, but it hasn't always been pretty. And through all of the grittiness and the hardness is actually how I did create this BEAM method that I've been able to really, with so much of your help and guidance, get so clear on how I can take my experience and also how to actually cross the finish line and help my clients do the same. And so much of what that process looks like is getting clear on what it is you actually want for yourself. And I think you probably can resonate with this, being a business mentor, is you probably have a lot of clients. Myself was probably one of them, where we think what we want is like, I want the 50K months. I want to buy this big shiny car or house or do all the things that you're supposed to do as a business owner. But when we really start to uncover, it's not really what the motivator is, right? That's not actually what we want. What we want is the feeling that those things come with sometimes. So what we want is to feel confident. We want to feel successful. We want to feel like we are making an impact and we're feeling purposeful and connected and all of these things. And that's what we're really looking for often. And we miss that a lot. And a lot of coaches don't see that or hear that. They only hear, oh, you want a 50K month? Here, let me help you do that and show you how I did it. That's not actually going to serve you in the long run. What we really need to get down to the heart to is like, why do you want this so bad? Why is this the thing? And through that process, that's when the feeling comes. And that's when we really start to discover what it is that you want. And from there, we take a look at your life and we really start to look at what is your capacity right now. If they're going through a big divorce, maybe launching the biggest part of their business is not the best idea right now. But how can we work on a small piece of that?
Yeah.
You know?
That's one of the things I've found human design to be incredibly helpful with, because it takes all of the expectations away, because the sacred role doesn't care about expectations. The invitations don't care about expectations. It's really about just pausing long enough to trust what you're really being drawn to do and allowing that to happen rather than just having an agenda and carrying it out. I mean, millions of people create success that way. However, they create a certain kind of success that may or may not be well-rounded success, where they have the life that they want. They may have the money that you want, but they don't necessarily have the life. Usually there is some trade-off where they would gladly trade places with you in some aspects, and you would gladly trade places with them in other aspects. So that's one of the big
Totally.
things. And I think one of the talents that you have, and one of the things that I know we worked with your design that I think helped to fine tune you on who you are meant to help. Because this is where it can all sound very general, but what you do, and I think the retreat that you just concluded, Kaitlin just facilitated a retreat in Bali. You just got back. So thanks for making time for us, like right when you landed. But that retreat and the people that were attracted to it, it's because it's about goals and it is about navigating change. And that's what's true in your story. It's what's true in your life. And when you started to observe your own journey from a place of curiosity and seeing how you're naturally gifted at certain things and what you have to offer others because of that. It's about achieving, it's about creating, it's about slaying your goals, but it's also doing that while life does not look as perfect as we think it should. And all the time, people come into Business by Design because it is a business and human design program, and almost without fail, they go through a phase of feeling like, I've got to make all of this work immediately and have it all done. From moment one, they're feeling like, I'm behind already. I should be further along. And you
Yep.
start making decisions from lack when you do that. And when you make decisions from lack in the human design world, you're in the not self. You're not going to get what you want. And that emotional frequency that creates inside of you, that fear, that anxiety, that feeling is only going to keep you in that same pattern of lack. So this is why we get stuck. And I think that this is why there's this new paradigm of leadership that I think we're stepping into in business, where we aren't looking at things from purely, let's accomplish this goal. What's the next step? What's the next action? That's part of it, because you do need to take action. And I want to talk to you about this too, because you didn't lose 80 pounds by purely meditating and being introspective.
No, if only.
And let's talk a little bit about this. I refer to it in our program. You start off, you're going to learn to walk, and you're going to learn to walk, and then we're going to start chewing gum. And you're going to be like, I can't do both together. And it's like, it's okay, you'll learn. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where you're walking and you're chewing gum together. You're going to be able to be in alignment and understand what your alignment feels like and looks like. And you're going to have these business foundations built. But when you're trying to do both, if you're thinking about how long it's taking or whether you're there yet or whether you're doing it right, you're probably just going to be hitting either the pause button or rewind rather than the fast forward that you think you're pushing.
Yes.
So can you talk to me about how you've balanced the inner growth and how you do this with your clients, how you've balanced the inner growth with taking action? And you're a 1-3. So as a 1-3, you are about taking in introspection, going deep, and then, okay, now let's go do the thing. So you're built for that. But talk to me about your process behind it. Was it always easy for you to do both? Or was that something that you had to fine tune?
I think it's always felt pretty. I've always said I'm a hands-on learner. I never knew what that meant until now, but I totally get it, where I'm like, okay, the way that I learn is I need to get my hands on it. I need to feel it, try it on. And it's so funny. Everyone has always been like, you're such a great promoter of things. Growing up with people like, if you love something, how do you get everyone to get on board and be excited about it? And I couldn't do that for any random thing. But if I'm really obsessed with something, like, I just can't help but talk about it. And it's genuine. I just really love it. But I can't do that unless I have experimented with it in some way, which is why I feel like my vast amount of experience in many different topics and things really helps me to be an expert coach and to lead you through navigating change and being okay to try things on, and also being okay if you tried something on and it doesn't work for you. That's a huge part of my process, because that's really what stalls so many people, is the fear of, what if I do it and it doesn't work? And my counter to that, well, that's what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
By not doing it, you're where you are right now. So by doing it, the worst that can really happen is you're just going to be where you are right now. And so what is really the message here? What's really stopping you? You know?
My favorite question to ask myself and people is, what is it that you don't want to feel? And what are you afraid of feeling? Because that's ultimately what's holding you back, is what are you afraid of feeling right now? So I don't want to take
Oh,
this
yeah.
action. I'm not taking this action. And we have this come up in our group all the time because this is just a natural part of entrepreneurship. But anytime you're trying to achieve something, entrepreneurship, though, there's nobody pushing you but yourself. And then maybe the bills and your lifestyle or what you want to achieve. But ultimately, that's driven by you. So it's you against you. And the difficult thing about that is that there is a fully unconscious side of you that is pulling the strings and is guiding your actions. And usually it's guiding a lot of inaction as well. I mean, there's some people that are just built for pure action and they don't have hangups and they had lives where they didn't have a ton of conditioning or trauma, and God bless them. That was not my experience. I had a lot of unwinding and a lot of deconditioning. I did a lot of crying for many years in solitude, but productive crying, the stuff where I was really working out all the things I didn't allow myself to cry about before, or really dealt with the pain or the fear that I was feeling about taking an action or feeling like such a failure because I wasn't getting these results. And the thing is that if you're not getting the result that you want and you feel like you're doing all the things, which is a really common thing. I feel like I'm doing all the things, but I'm not getting the result. You got to look at what you're doing then, because the truth is that you're probably not doing things that are really associated with that result. And if you can look at the thing that, what would get me that result, what could get me that result, if you're not doing that thing, you've got to ask yourself, what is it that I'm afraid of feeling if this thing doesn't work, or if I do this thing? Am I afraid I will be judged? Am I afraid that I will be abandoned? Am I afraid that I will not be enough? Then those are the feelings you have to deal with, because that's the next door you need to kick down in order to be able to get to your next level. It's like a bouncer at the next level that's sitting there going, you got to deal with me. I am shame. And like, you can't walk through here until you give me the secret password. And
till you deal with it.
And then you get to go through the velvet ropes, you get to go to that party, and then it's the next party that you're trying to get into. And that is the game that I think gets missed in a lot of traditional goal coaching. And I think that's what makes you unique, special, and different, is the fact that you incorporate life coaching into this. That you're coaching people through. If it were just goals, then it would be like a duh process. Okay, do the thing. It's not do the thing. It's why aren't you doing the thing? Or why'd you do that thing instead of this thing?
Yeah.
That's the part that it requires usually some other third party to come in and go, let's look at this, shall we? Can I ask you a really interesting question about this? And I mean it with total love.
And it's so important. But also, I think a big part of everything that you're talking about, too, is not only dealing with some of the things that may be on why aren't you doing this, but also how can you get a taste now of who you're wanting to be as well. This tug and pull between the both is really part of the goal slaying process, if you will, because you do have to do the crying, which I always say crying is an action. You are doing something by crying. You got to do that. You got to feel. Feeling is an action. So we have to do that. That is part of it. Even when it doesn't feel productive, it is one of the most productive things you can do. But along with working with what's already there, we have to also work with the thing that doesn't quite exist yet, right? Which is where we're going. And another big reason why people don't get where they want to go is there's a huge gap, right? We are here, we want to be there. Wow, there's this huge, massive bridge that we have to cross. It feels really far away. But when we start thinking about and identifying, getting clear, what does that look like? There are some things we can do in the very here and now to start getting a taste of who that person is and is becoming. And so really marrying the two, not only do we have to take massive action, but massive action can be also very tiny steps, I always say, dealing with this and also feeling this. So it's like a big ecosystem that kind of has to work together.
Yeah, in general, I think in life, there's no one step to anything. there's multiple steps, there's multiple dimensions to everything, particularly if you have big goals, big aspirations, you're looking to create real lasting change, then it's going to encompass more than one thing. And if you can get really comfortable with that, and I think that that's one of the interesting things that we're seeing in the industry now is this incorporating of maybe not everything that you need, but here's everything that you need for this particular stage that you're in. Or here's this well-rounded approach. One thing to rule them all is a very successful slogan and hook. Here's the one thing I did, or here's the 5 things I did, and it's all Instagram related, and that happens to be what I sell. That's very self-serving, and that might have worked for that particular person. However, for most people, it doesn't. It involves other things. There's Instagram, but there's messaging strategy. If you don't have a messaging strategy, then your social media is probably not going to perform the way you want it to. There's something underneath it. And if you want to slay your goals, then you have to be the operator of your strategy, of the way that you go through life. You've got to go out there and perform the action and perform it in a way that it gets results. And that takes different work than just showing up. But showing up is a big part of it. You have to show up. You have to do the thing. I wanted to ask you, you talked about crying.
Yeah, and raising your hand.
You talked about crying, and I love crying. I was wondering, was that always something that you were comfortable doing? You have an open solar plexus. So I'm curious if you were always good at facing your emotions and dealing with them, or was that a skill you developed later on?
I still hate facing my emotions. Do not let me give you that idea that I love emotions. No, I do not love emotions, but I also recognize the power it has of allowing them to just be. And there are seasons in my life where that has felt easier, never easy, easier. And then there's more seasons than those that have felt really difficult because I grew up with a mom who lived in a man's world, worked in the real estate world, very intense. And that was the role model for me, is that when you cry, that means you're weak and you're going to be taken advantage of. And so you need to be strong. You face your fears. My dad's side, they're all entrepreneurs, immigrant family, right? So you do the thing, you show up, do not let them smell your fear. And so I've always had this tenaciousness, which has served me very well. But being tender is difficult. It's very difficult. And it's something that with my daughter, which I've talked to you a lot about, who is so emotional and so in tune with her feelings, that has been my biggest teacher, is being a parent. And it has shown up in my coaching, because oftentimes in my earlier coaching days, I would look at my clients and be like, I don't understand why they just can't get through this. What is happening here? And then I was like, I so get it. We have to sit with it and we need to deal with it. And I've done, thank God for tapping. You have helped me understand how to release a lot of that.
It's a godsend. EFT is my drug of choice for working through your emotions and processing them. I think it's really interesting. Our kids are so interesting, and knowing their design can be a big eye opener until that's why they're like that. Because you don't realize how much your brain is trying to say, why is she like this? Why is she always this way? Why is she not more like me? Why is she driving me crazy? And instead we can say like, oh, she's not built that way. It doesn't mean that it's always easy in the moment to deal with what they are being, but it takes that mind trying to figure it all out of the way. But I think it's so interesting that you were given an emotional projector daughter. You are a highly defined generator with 3 motors going. You talked about being tenacious. You have the channel of tenacity, pretty much, the channel of struggle. Like you have all of this real powerful energy, the channel of initiation. You have a lot of energy, and you have this emotional child. And one of the things that I think is really interesting for generators who get these projector kids, first of all, your daughter tuned you into probably the aspect of your design. For you, your greatest potential for wisdom is in your solar plexus, but it's the area you don't want to go in. So I think what's so interesting is to say my daughter was my greatest teacher is the fact that she forced you to go into that place and to see it differently. and to see you, how you feel it and how you pick up and amplify her emotions. Like, she sent you to school in emotions. And by doing that, I'm going to guess that you've become a much better coach and that you have become more grounded because you had to clean out that emotional closet, which is what the solar plexus can become when non-emotionals tend to say, I don't want to deal with my emotions. Ick, gross, hate them, no, inconvenient, deal with that later. And it's like a ham sandwich that you put in your purse. You didn't get rid of it. It's just funking up everything in your purse.
No.
And you don't want that sandwich anymore. That's what happens when we let emotions fester. So I think it's so interesting. My son is a projector as well, and I'm a Mani-Gen. Him being a mirror for my emotions. He's not emotional. I am emotional. So I notice my energy through the way that he's acting around me. And if I look at him like a mirror to me, which is what projectors really are, they are amplifying. And when they know what they're doing, they're able to intellectualize it and tell you. So a projector coach could give you insight. But a projector kid is just going to, although he comes out with some really insightful, weird, like Yoda-y stuff sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I totally get
but
that.
His behavior changes and he shifts, and I see it in him, or I see how he's reacting to things, or just the little things that he says. And if I don't look at it like it's happening to him and I say, how is he somehow reflecting me right now? I get answers that I could never get on my own. I became a much better coach, person, friend in 2 events in my life, finding human design and being able to understand myself and the people around me and my kid, and looking at it through that lens.
Yeah.
So it is such an interesting and beautiful way to go through life when you can observe that and start to learn from it. So I'm curious, talk about your experience with human design and what it's shown you. What are your reflections on human design?
Oh my gosh, we would need a whole new podcast just for that answer, but I will try to give you the quick and dirty. So I was really interested in human design. I've been interested in human design for a really long time and dabbled into it. And it was just this whole new world. I knew when I found it. But what I thought was really interesting since working with you was so many things out there in human design just tell you about your type or your profile, and it's very generic. But there's a big difference between reading and knowing about human design and living by your human design. Massive difference. And I never understood that. Even now, I'm still uncovering new things. Like right now, I'm part of your Unshakable Human. And you've done my readings. I've been diving into human design, and I'm still peeling back layers of like, holy shit, this is so amazing. There's so many little nuanced things. So what specifically I would say, if I had to name the biggest thing, it's really awareness. And I recognize, like you said, I'm a generator. I've got 3 motors. I'm extremely energetic and also powerful, I would say, in my magnetic field of what I'm putting out into the universe. And you were giving the example of your son, how he's a mirror for you. I've started to see that on a big scale at the end of the day when I realized, wow, today was just such a kick-ass day. Like, clients were on fire and things were happening in the emails and shit got done. And man, my marriage is working and feeling fantastic and connected and wow. And then I recognized that is because this is inside working here. I have the awareness of like, I am feeling aligned and connected, and that's really having an effect on the conversations I'm having and the things I'm calling into my life. It also has made me aware when things aren't feeling so good and they're feeling really like that resistance and I'm getting that frustration. I'm like, ooh, red flag, red flag. What's coming up here? And I don't spend as much time in the frustration anymore. And I really feel like that has been such a game changer for me, because as the tenacious person, I tend to be like, this is not going to stop me. I'm just going to keep going and I eventually won't feel frustrated. Actually, no, you need to stop. That's not what you're supposed to be feeling. You're allowed to actually question this. And so I really feel like that has even deepened my ability to coach and to lean into things with my clients a little bit more, as well as my personal relationships. There's a reason that we have this frustration. I think the other opposite part of that is the satisfaction piece for me. I used to think that I needed to feel like this massive joy and like completely lit up all the time. And satisfaction is okay. Satisfaction is where I want to live. This is such a beautiful thing, not having to live in this constant, massive state of joy. And if it's not there, then it's not okay. I want to be satisfied. That's what I'm living for here.
It's exhausting trying to be.
Yeah, that's really what
it's exhausting trying to be super duper high vibe all the time, squealing about the new butter being opened, stupid, mundane things. Forcing yourself to do it, that's not authentic. I put out a post yesterday where I was like, your thoughts lie, your words lie, but your energy never does. And so to say that you're really excited about something means absolutely nothing if on an energetic level, it's bullshit. It's about true joy. And as generators, we get joy from doing stuff, from building things, from creating something, from going through a process, from being satisfied. And satisfaction begets more satisfaction. Satisfaction means that you will not be fighting resistance as much. So if you're following satisfaction and you're not taking the bait and pushing through frustration, we have to do it from time to time. I got to get this done. I don't really want to right now. But you can also work with that to go and gear yourself up and come back to the thing with newfound energy. It's all about learning to navigate. And that's, I think, what was coming through for me with living by your design versus knowing about it. It's supposed to be lit up. That's very different than being frustrated, looking at it and saying, I'm frustrated. What would make me feel good right now? Maybe I should take a break. And then you go take a break and you do something that feels really good. And then suddenly you look at that other thing you were doing before that you've got to finish and you're like, I could do that now. And I feel totally cool about it. That's the difference between being present and being led by your design rather than led by draconian rules that you set up for yourself. And that's really fun. That's why it's so fun to work with you, because to see people where we get to work together for this long period of time, the Business by Design mentorship is a year, but to see you launch your podcast, to see you working through the process of living your design, of starting to incorporate it into the positioning, not just working on goals, but being the goal slayer who helps people navigate tremendous change in their life to have a life that they really want to live. And then laying a foundation for recurring, repeatable income to build a foundation. Because when you have that solid foundation under yourself and you are grounded in your human, it feels really safe to take big fat jumps in the air. And when you're not grounded in yourself and the ground underneath you is spotty or shaky, then it feels really scary to take any move, because you're just like, all I know is that right here, I'm safe at this moment, so I better not move. And the whole game is about making it feel safe for you to take bigger and bigger leaps. And that's how we change our life. And I think that's so beautiful about the work that you do. Tell everybody what BEAM stands for.
It actually stands for Be Everything and More, because as you said in the intro, how can we be more? Because the women that I work with and those that are in my world know that they are meant for more and feel that they want more out of life, but feel like they have to constantly be in this burnout mode in order to have that. And that's just so not true. In fact, usually being more means doing less. And it's a beautiful thing when we can embody that and be okay with not having our worth tied to our output and the things that we check off on our to-do list for the day. How can we measure the juice of life in different ways and really feel more internally? So Be Everything and More is really the name of the game over here.
And you embody that. And I think that's the difference. Please check out Kaitlin on Instagram. She's at The Beam Life. And you'll see what I mean. If you aren't following her already, you'll see that if you embody that Be Everything and More. You embody what you teach. You embody what you preach. And Your energy is doing the talking for you. And it's so much more powerful than just saying the words. It's the energy underneath it, and you embody it wholeheartedly. And so I'm so grateful for you for being here. I appreciate you, and you are a joy to work with, and it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. Tell everybody where they can stay in touch with you. Where can they learn more about you? Her podcast is the Goal Slayer podcast, which is amazing. You are such a natural host. But where else can they stay in touch with you and learn more about you?
Yeah, thank you so much again for having me. This has been just a blast, and I know we're just getting started on so many things. So the best way to connect outside of here is on Instagram at The Beam Life. Of course, as Nicole mentioned, my podcast, Goal Slayer, but also I have a 90-day journal, which you can find on Amazon. It can be primed right to your door. It is just simply the Beam Life Journal, and it's a 90-day goal slaying journey to help you get unstuck and really take that intentional action that we have been talking about, but also uncover some of those deeper parts of yourself that you need to see and put some light on in order to get where it is you really want to go.
And we will link all of that up in the show notes for you. So don't worry if you can grab those links. We will get that all hooked up for you. Just drop on down to the show notes and be transported over to any of those places that Kaitlin mentioned. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of this episode with us. Thank you, Kaitlin, for being here. I appreciate everybody. And remember, in order to have an unshakable business, you must first become an unshakable human. So thanks for letting us help you become unshakable with human design, everybody. We will see you next time. If you love this episode and you're a fan of the show, please show us the love on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to the show, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with other entrepreneurs on their human design journey, join our free Facebook community, Human Design for Entrepreneurs. Go to NicoleLaino.me/podcast links to join the group, book a human design reading with me, or access our free human design resources. We'll see you there.